Good evening again. I want to welcome you guys back to the Conversation 98, another episode of the Conversation 98, and I'm truly happy and glad to be back on with you guys again. Definitely excited. Another great weekend, another great week. Truly excited about the opportunity of just being before you and being with you guys today. Um, it means the world to me to be back, to be with you guys, and I look forward to the conversation today. Again, we're on episode 155, so we've been going strong for a long time, and want to keep this thing going. And I think tonight conversation is going to be a real good one, one that I feel that is necessary, and I think it's relevant. Like every week, just try to keep topics that relevant, and I think that people can relate to. So, thank you guys so much for rocking with me. It means a lot. Make sure you tune to share in and let me know where you watching from, and be a part of this conversation if that's what you choose to be. But again, man, thank you guys so much. I'm truly excited, and shout out to Alabama State for winning the Magic City Classic today. But Alabama A&M for life for me. So um, again, just hope you guys have a great day, and we get on with this conversation, man. Tonight, man, I'm so excited, very excited about the opportunity, and excited too. Seasons changing, so I'm excited with season change. Only thing I hate is just being up here in the North Country. Never had to deal with allergies until I came up here, but I get through it, and I feel the pain for everybody that had to deal with allergies before me, before I did it. But again, we're gonna get right into it tonight. Won't be before you guys long. But again, let me know where you're tuning in from, and look forward to having a dialogue with you. As I was thinking and contemplating on the conversation, what I wanted to have tonight, one of the things that popped in my mind was this topic. And the topic, what we're going to talk about tonight is, um, it's not just about what you do, but how you do something that impacts others around you. It's not just about what you do. I mean, a lot of the things that we can do, and I think a lot of times we can become blindsided about just the things that we do, what we do, right? And we can be doing the right things for people or doing the right things for the people around us, but I don't think oftentimes we consider them how we do it, right? And how we do it is what really has an impact on the people around us. And then you may not know it or think about it, but how you do something can disregard what you do for somebody. And I think a lot of times what happens is we can get so caught up on what we're doing that we really forget that the key is focusing on how we're doing it and how they're impacting others. Because just because you're doing something doesn't mean that it's doing the right thing. And I think a lot of times we get mixed up on it. And I think a lot of times we get sideswiped. And one thing that I really wanted to discuss today and tonight is, how you treat people matters. How you treat people matters. And I don't care where you at. I don't care where you get to in your professional or career. I don't care where you get to in your personal life. I don't care what you get, what level you get at, right? What level of power, prestige, what level promotions you may get. I don't care what it is. How you treat people matters. And I think a lot of people get caught up on um, not really taking advantage of that or really seeing that and taking full ownership of that, and they forget about that dynamic, and they may get caught up into the ebbs and flows of life, the ebbs and flows of their job, trying to make sure that gets done, this task get done, this get done, we meet this deadline, we doing all of this, right? But how you treat people is what really has a major impact on it, because people will remember how you treat them more than they will remember what you guys may have accomplished in together. They will remember how you treat them, because how you treat people matters. And a lot of people, we get that mixed up. A lot of people forget. Um, they forget a lot of things, but many of us forget the simple fact that when we're dealing with people, right? A lot of times we have to consider the other person, and I don't want people to get this misconstrued, right? I'm not saying that you got to deal with everybody's sensitivity. Some people are way too sensitive, right? And they're just going to be offended by everything. But what I'm speaking on is it's about how you do certain things, right? Many people are dealing with wounds on not what people done, as how they did it. You know, some people grew up in environments to where their significant others um, um, or their family members or their parents were there for them and they provided for them, but they didn't love them in a good way. They put food on the table. They just did all of these things, right? But they don't realize that that's impacted them. Yeah, nobody's taking away for what was done for them, but it was how it was done to them that had an impact. And many of us really need to take inventory of that. We really do need to take inventory. We really do need to look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, dang, you know, what am I doing? Like, it's not just about what you do, it's about how you do it. You know, it's about how you do it. I would tell you, and I think a lot of times we become, you know, and I would tell you, many times we become very insensitive, right? Because we get caught up in fulfilling a role or fulfilling the meeting the demand or meeting the goals of what we supposed to do, that we forget about how we are doing it, right? I can be a husband, a father, and I can provide for my family. So I'm paying the bills. I'm making sure everything's straight, right? I'm making sure all the provisions are there, right? But I'm neglecting my family by going out there and trying to chase that money, trying to do all of these things. And what will happen is, yes, I'm providing and I'm fulfilling that role as the provider, but the impact is on my family because I'm neglecting them by never being there when I need to be there. And then what will happen is, even though I fulfill that role, the impact will impact my kids further on down the road. The impact would be not only that I impact my kids, but I can be fulfilling my role, you know. So and many of us get so caught up in fulfilling the role for other people that we forget that not only about fulfilling that role, but it's about embodying that same thing. You know, and when you're talking about fulfilling, because we can fulfill a role just by doing it, right? But the embodiment is the impact, right? It's the embodiment is how you go about doing it, right? I look at that like, you know, I can give you a recipe to cook something. I can provide you the recipe. The recipe lays it out, right? But it's about the intricacies on how you do it, right? Yeah, we can say hey, I got everything that I need to do it, but it's about how you do it. And especially when we're dealing with people, it really boils down to how you do something. You can say the same things in a different way and get a different result just based off of not what you say, but based off of how you say it, and it will have a greater impact on those around you. It will have a greater impact. And I think many times we forget that. I think many times we forget those small things. We forget those small things. I don't think that we look at it the way that we should look at it. I don't think that we take the time to even be aware of it, right? And I understand it, but you know, just because you're frustrated about something, right? When a lot of times we need to check why. Like we do things, right? And yeah, you may have the authority to do it. You may feel like you have the right to do it, right? But sometimes we need to see how effective is what I'm doing. How is that impacting those around me? How is it impacting? How is my leadership style impacting them? How do I talk to them? How is my tone? You see what I'm saying? Like, how do what I say? Like, do I say it in a loving way, or am I very harsh on it? And then start dissecting. Why am I harsh? Why am I hard? Why am I demanding on this? Right? Is that something from an insecurity for me, or is that something that I'm doing that I feel like they should be doing better? But have I communicated that? And a lot of times we have a lot of conflict in our lives because we simply don't know how to communicate our expectations, and we get frustrated, and that we don't even understand how that impacts people around us. We get frustrated with those things. We do get frustrated, and that's okay. But we don't look at the simple fact that we don't look at the simple fact that you know, it doesn't uh, we don't look at the simple fact of how that impacts us. And I think that that is something that we really need to take inventory on. We really need to look at. We really need to and be honest with ourselves about it, because I listen, man. A lot of relationships, a lot of relationships, a lot of, I mean, families, a lot of things have been destroyed, not because people wasn't doing something, it was how they was doing it. And people don't like to like the accountability on how you doing it. They want credit for just doing it. And when you're dealing with people, right, it's not a Nike thing. It's not just do it. It's a how you do it that matters the most. And I don't care what you say. I don't care how you slice it. It's how you do something that matters the most. Like it's not just about what you say, right? And I'm not talking about being or people with being dealing with super sensitive people, but a lot of things is about how you do it that really matters. And that is where you will have the greatest impact on the people around you. So I hope that you guys had a great and wonderful day. I told you we won't be long before you tonight. But just think about it. How do you, it's not just about what you do, but how you do something that impacts others around you. And, you know, we have to think about this. There are so many people that have destroyed or negatively impacted other people in their lives because they never considered how they did something and how it impacted them. They never considered how they talked to their kids. They never considered what did they say, how did they speak to their spouse. They never considered, and they typically look at it from the perspective of the other people were wrong, but they don't take that responsibility and that accountability. Like, dang, wait a minute, it wasn't what I was doing because I was checking the blocks, but it was about how I did it that had the impact. And I think many people run from that and they don't take ownership of that because they don't want to be held accountable. But the reality is, right, that right there will mend so many relationships if we just go back and acknowledge it wasn't what I did, it was how I did it. And I apologize for it because that wasn't my intent. That was not my intent. But so many of us will refuse to do so. And sadly, many people will go to their graves uh, knowingly and unknowingly destroying supposed to be lifetime relationships, all because they was too prideful to realize how they was doing something. Hey, man, I hope you guys have a great and wonderful evening. You guys stay up. God bless.